This presentation is on healthcare powers of attorneys. A power of attorney is a legal document that grants the authority from one person to another person to make decisions. They can be drafted to grant broad authority for a lot of different decision making, or they can be very narrow. In general, there are two different types of powers of attorney. One power of attorney for financial decision making, the other for healthcare decision making. This presentation is on the latter, and I will give you important tips and strategies on how to create and draft a power of attorney to give the authority to a spouse or a child or another family member to help you make healthcare decisions when you are not able or willing to do it for yourself. Healthcare powers of attorney are very important. I ask the question, really, what is more important? A healthcare power of attorney is important because it gives the authority for another person to help you manage your care, your short-term medical care or long-term medical care when you are sick and in some cases dying. And candidly, that is more important than anything. A properly drafted power of attorney begins by appointing another qualified person to act as the attorney in fact, or the agent. Attorney in fact, or the term agent, is used to describe the person who can make decisions for you. Suppose you were in an accident and the ambulance came and scraped you off the road and brought you to the hospital and you are unconscious. One of the first questions the hospital is going to have is, who has the authority to authorize medical treatment? Maybe it's a surgery. The person that is designated to make those decisions and stand in your shoes is called an attorney in fact, sometimes called an agent. This is an example of a recital or a provision in a power of attorney that we draft for our clients, in which we appoint these. This is just an example. So I designate Daryl Tuttle to be the attorney in fact. We recommend that you have a backup in case Daryl has predeceased or Daryl is unwilling or unable to do so. The successor or the alternate attorney in fact is Katie, my associate attorney. That's just an example that we use, but your power of attorney should make that crystal clear. You should have the contact information for the agent so they can be reached in that emergency. Another important provision is the effectiveness clause. A power of attorney is very powerful. You are granting the authority to another person to make decisions for you. When you are younger, there is a concern that a power of attorney could be abused. I can say as an elder law attorney, most of my clients are over the age of 80, and they have family members, usually a child that they trust. It's my recommendation in such a case that you choose a power of attorney that is effective the second that you sign it. We call that effective immediately provision. The other choice is a springing power of attorney. And this is a description or term to describe a power of attorney that is only effective upon your incapacity, if you have a stroke or dementia. The drawback for choosing a power of attorney that is effective only upon incapacity is that those powers of attorney usually require one or two, I've even seen 3 physicians to verify in writing that you are truly incapacitated. And so imagine your loved one scrambling because you've had a stroke and you are in the hospital, soon to be in a nursing home, and that child has to run all over town and get letters from very busy doctors who are hard to reach and sometimes uncooperative. So make it easy on your attorney in fact, your loved one, the person that you have designated to help you, because it is not fun doing a bunch of paperwork and making a bunch of phone calls when you don't need to. In most cases, we recommend a power of attorney that is effective immediately. There is confusion about duration. When does the power of attorney expire? Remember, a power of attorney is a delegation of decision-making authority during your lifetime. Powers of attorneys therefore expire at your death. The agent or attorney in fact has, of course, no more authority beyond your lifetime. However, some folks want to limit the time frame. In a general sense, and a general recommendation is to have a provision that makes it clear that their duration does not expire. Does not expire. However, if you were going into a surgery and were otherwise healthy, you could say, I want this power of attorney to expire 3 months after the surgery. It's a temporary thing. The world is your oyster. You can draft it any way you want, but think about when it's effective. Think about when it expires. The philosophy of our law firm is that long-term care planning is extremely important because there is a direct correlation between level of care and the way care is handled and price. Like it or not, in this country at this time, long-term care is extremely expensive, and long-term care costs could be the greatest threat to your estate. It's not probate. It's probably not estate tax. It's probably long-term care costs. Mistakes made in that process can be expensive, even devastating. Here's an important tip. When drafting your power of attorney for healthcare decisions, just be specific. Think of it as the beginning of a written long-term care plan. You're writing it while you're healthy, but you're projecting and communicating your desires in the event later you're unable to do so. Think of it as the first step in your long-term care plan. That is how important a healthcare power of attorney is. For example, many powers of attorney are drafted by estate planning attorneys who are not used to thinking about long-term care costs. The forms that were generated that I've seen downloaded from the internet or whatnot seem to contemplate only short-term medical expenses and just completely forget long-term. So write it down. Give the authority to your agent, your representative, to make decisions for you for nursing home care, hospice care, to establish your residence, whatever your desires are. If you were incapacitated and required to go to a nursing home, the nursing home will have admission paperwork requirements. They will want to see the power of attorney. They will want to see if the agent is authorized to admit you into the skilled nursing facility. Have a paragraph that says, yes, my attorney, in fact, is authorized to admit me into long-term care facility, assisted living. I would name them specifically, not the actual place because you wouldn't know what that would be, but the level of care, skilled nursing, assisted living, independent living, whatever. And remember this, doctors are extremely educated and smart people. However, they are not mind readers. If it is your desire to be maintained in your residence, I'll explain that in a second, write it down. Write it down. I mean, imagine that your goal is to age at home. Let's suppose you had the financial resources to pay for home care, someone to come into your home, the house that you raised your children, that you saw your oldest daughter marry, whatever the attachment is to your home, you can age at home in some cases no matter how ill you are. If that is your desire and you had a stroke and were incapacitated, how does anyone know that that's what you wanted unless you had it communicated it? And there's no better place to do that in the power of attorney. Here is a provision that we draft for our clients. If they want to be maintained in their home, we write, maintain me in my residence. That's my goal. That's my priority. After the stroke, people cannot read your mind, and you may not be able to communicate it. And here's just another example. Sometimes we include this provision, sometimes we don't. People have strong opinions about pain relief. Whatever your opinion is, whatever your religious values sometimes come into play. Write it down. Otherwise, the attorney in fact is not going to know really what to do. And here are some other things that you should not forget. And these become very important, and it's just ways to make it easy for your agent, your healthcare representative. Remember, that is your family member in most cases. First, do not forget about the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, aka HIPAA. That's what everyone calls it. It's HIPAA. And HIPAA has a lot of complicated provisions in it, but one of it is maintaining your privacy. And you have to sign a specific release in order to give the authority to another person to obtain your medical records. Hospitals and doctors are very careful not to violate the privacy rules in that statute. And this concludes the presentation on powers of attorney for healthcare decisions. The most important thing to remember is that a healthcare power of attorney is an essential document, essential in managing your very health at that point in time in your life when you are unable to. An important first step is to review your existing power of attorney and see if it has provisions. In this presentation, we talked about the importance of writing down in a written document, preferably the power of attorney, your desires. Do you want to be maintained at home? If you want to reside in an assisted living community, what kind of assisted living community? You need to pre-select and give guidance to a person, a son or a daughter or other decision maker in your life, what you want to have happen. Because if it's not there, if it's not written down, it's probably not going to happen. And so if your existing power of attorney does not have these provisions or does not have, the provisions on HIPAA and some other things that we mentioned, then you probably need a new one. Easy way to start is to contact our law firm, and you can retain us to draft for you and properly execute for you a customized healthcare power of attorney. Or you can do it yourself. This website is set up to help folks make directions and customize the provisions in a healthcare power of attorney that they want. So either hire us or ask us to draft it for you, kind of a do-it-yourself solution. The important thing is to take that initial first step. On this website, you will see the link to get started drafting your customized healthcare power of attorney.